So the Diablo 4 beta has come and gone, and since I'm irrelevant, I figured that people would want to hear what I have to say about the game. Before I talk about that though, I've noticed with Diablo 4 that people are tending to be hypercritical of the game, more so than they would be towards a lot of other games. It's weird. Don't get me wrong though, Blizzard definitely deserves it, but it seems like people want this game to fail, and I can't tell whether it's out of hatred for Blizzard or if it's the PoE Andys that want no competition for their game. If it's the former, that's based, but if it's the latter, then those people are idiots. The competition is very important for innovation, so if the PoE Andys want PoE to be as good as possible, they should be praying for Diablo 4 to be good. You want an example of what I'm talking about? Look at Twitch. Twitch has no real competition, which is why they keep making terrible decisions, because they know that you're not going to go anywhere else. What are you going to do? Go to Kick? Name 3 streamers that aren't 8 roster train wrecks. Exactly. YouTube is Twitch's only real competition, but they are still years behind. The point being that competition is important. Despite all that though, the Diablo 4 beta has one major issue that doesn't leave me with a lot of faith for the game. And that issue is that this beta is kind of fucking pointless. Let me explain. The reason this beta is pointless is that there is very little valuable information that Blizzard can gather from it. The only things that are actually useful are a very early class balance, which will become irrelevant, server stress testing, and how players feel about the very early systems. I'd say that the most important info they get is about the servers, although considering what happened last time they launched a Diablo game, it doesn't exactly fill me with a lot of hope. And for the other two things, I feel like it's way too early in the game to make any conclusive decisions about how they fully work. I feel like you can't really say anything about class balance because beta balance doesn't matter, especially because you're only level 25, but max level is going to be 100. I'm going to compare this a lot to World of Warcraft because Blizzard seems to be pushing this game in the direction of an MMO. Talking about the balance of classes in the beta would be like making a tier list of classes in WoW, except it's based on the classes at level 15. You might be thinking that's not a fair comparison, because WoW classes aren't really complete until they hit max level, but think about what was missing in the beta. Rogues didn't get their 3rd stance, Sorcerers didn't get their 2nd enchantment slot, Druids straight up didn't have their spirit boons, no classes had access to their capstones, and we were missing a bunch of legendaries and uniques, as well as the Paragon system, so I feel like it's a pretty fair comparison. The whole point of what I'm trying to say is that all of the information that Blizzard is getting from this beta test is only for the first quarter of the game, so once players get beyond that, all of the feedback they're getting right now is totally useless. The majority of players are going to be spending the majority of their time playing with the endgame systems, not replaying the first act over and over, so it would have been more beneficial for Blizzard to have us test that part of the game instead. And considering they already did a closed test where they tested those systems, it's not like they couldn't open that to the public. Also, more rigorous testing of those systems can only be beneficial for Blizz, and so for the life of me, I don't understand why they don't do it. If they do a test like that before the game comes out, I will gladly eat my words though. Blizzard also seems to be marketing this game more like an MMO, but they aren't allowing us to see the endgame, and we're less than 3 months out from release. Imagine they tested WoW expansions like this. Imagine if the testing for Dragonflight consisted entirely of 6 days where you could only get to level 62 and play in one of the zones of the game, and only a handful of people are able to test the most important systems and they aren't allowed to tell anyone about it. That would be fucking ridiculous, but it's exactly what they're doing here. Would more rigorous testing actually help? Probably not. They'd still manage to fuck it up with WoW, but it would be nice to at least know what we're getting into. One last thing that makes me really nervous about the future of this game is that Blizzard doesn't seem to know what kind of game they want to make. With all of the systems that they are talking about, as well as the open testing, it makes it seem like they want to make a live service game that keeps people playing for a while and makes them a lot of money. But the price point of the game, as well as the weird way that they're testing it to seemingly avoid story spoilers, makes it seem like they want it to be a AAA story-driven game. The seemingly split design philosophy is what has me worried most about the game. The game is at a AAA price point when most other games like it are either free or at the very most like $30 to $40. It's already a tall ask for a lot of people to shell out $70 for a game, especially to a company like Blizzard. Considering we already have confirmation that there's going to be a battle pass, it leaves me very concerned about the future of the game in terms of monetization. I hope I'm wrong, but considering who we're dealing with here, it doesn't seem very likely that they're going to do the right thing. If anyone is wondering what my thoughts on the game are, it's fun so far, and I look forward to being able to play the full game when it comes out. But again, that comes with the caveat of it being the first quarter of the game, which in RPGs and MMOs tend to be the most boring parts of the game. Considering the way they're building this game to be more like an MMO, it seems very odd to me that they don't want people to test the endgame systems that they have, except for the handful of people that they've deemed worthy enough to. But those people are under NDA, so it doesn't really count. As far as I'm aware, most developers of MMOs want people to thoroughly test the endgame because they understand that's what's going to keep people playing the game. So the fact that Blizzard, who run the biggest MMO in the world, isn't doing that with this game is pretty concerning. And that is what has me worried most about this game. Thank you for letting me shout into the void about this, and thank you for watching.